Mhm. Hello, I'm Tanya from EnglishChallenges.com. Thank you so much for joining me again. And today I'm so excited, as always, because I love live lessons. But today we're talking about binomials. And if you don't know what those are, all you need to know is that they're relatively simple. They'll help you understand native speakers much better, and they'll help your English sound more natural. Okay, today I'm going to share 6 binomials that native speakers, me, actually use. And at the end of the lesson, I actually have some examples from my Instagram followers. So I'm going to share some sentences with binomials and we're going to correct them live. So I'll let you know how they can be used, how they can sound more natural, and when they should not be used. I'm so excited. Okay, and if you're watching this live, welcome. Let me know in the comment section where you're from and if you've used or heard of binomials. If you're watching the rebroadcast, check the notes in the video or check the link in the video notes because I actually typed up all of these sentences, the meanings, the binomials, the examples for today's live lesson. So you can follow along and then take notes if you want or write your own examples. And remember, share your examples in the comments. It helps me understand if you understand. Are you ready? Okay, so first things first. Oh my goodness, I need more coffee. Okay, what is a binomial? So some of you may have heard of binomials in math, but today we're talking about English binomials. All it means, those are 3 words, or actually 2 words, joined by a preposition or a conjunction. And the trick about binomials is that they have to be said in a specific order to sound natural. And what I mean by this, I'll give you the most popular example, rock and roll. You would never say, I love roll and rock music. It sounds off, the meaning gets lost. So that's why the order and practicing binomials is so important. The word rock and the word roll have separate meanings. But when we use them together as an expression, as a phrase, rock and roll, the meaning changes. So as you can imagine, the more familiar you are with these expressions and phrases, the easier it will be to understand native speakers. Are you ready? Let's get to my top 6 binomials. And again, all of this is typed up for you in the notes in the video link. Yes, and I'm reading the comments as we go along, by the way. So the definition of binomials is not the most important part, but rather exposure to them. So I recommend reading them out loud. Record yourself reading them out loud. Read examples. So it's not memorization. I definitely don't encourage that. And another thing that I recommend is like when you're studying idioms, my absolute top tip with idioms, with phrasal verbs, with binomials, don't memorize. And for every 5 or 10 idioms or binomials that you study them for comprehension so that you know when people use them, you know what they mean, and then pick one to actually use. So don't worry about using all 10 or all 5, or today's case, don't worry about using all 6. Enjoy learning the 6 and then pick one that you think, oh, this is relevant for me. I can try to use that one. And that's how you build real life English skills. And thank you for your comment about online course. I actually do have an online course for planning fluency. So if any of you are self-studying, so if you're not, in a class or a course or with a teacher and you want to learn English or improve your English by yourself, I'll add a link to the course. Thank you for the reminder. So it's really good. It's like over 2 hours of me coaching you and giving you links and resources. But back to binomials. Okay, the first binomial for today. And when you hear this, you're going to have an aha moment. The light bulb will go off and you'll know that you know some binomials. The first one is pros and cons. We never say cons and pros. So those of you watching, or if you're watching the rebroadcast, type a sentence using pros and cons. And if you're doing it live, I'll try to correct it if I can. Pros and cons means it refers to the advantages or disadvantages of a situation. For example, there are lots of pros and cons about moving to a new country. So a pro would be you meet new people or new cultures. A con would be it's a lot of work, right? To find a new place, the legal side of it. So pros and cons. Again, you would never say there are lots of cons and pros. Sounds bleh. Pros and cons. And you'll notice that I'm going to repeat them a lot because part of binomials is that it sounds good. Do you ever feel like you hear something or you read something, maybe in your native language, maybe in English, depending on your level? You don't know how to explain why it's wrong, but it sounds wrong, right? So, those of you who are not educators, if you're not a teacher, that's usually what happens. Things just sound right. And that's kind of the trick to binomials. You just got to hear it. Pros and cons, pros and cons. There are so many pros and cons. All right. And again, try to use sentences and I'll check them out as we go along. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, which I'll post this there as well, think about a sentence. Pause the audio if you need to. Pause this video if you need to. Think about a sentence using these. Okay, the next one is sick and tired. Oh, okay, this one's really good because what I see a lot of people do is they use this one literally. Like, I feel sick and tired. I have the flu. That's different. In that sentence, it's not a binomial. You're like physically sick. You're ill. You're actually fatigued. You're tired. As a binomial expression, sick and tired means to be frustrated with something or someone. For example, I am sick and tired of always picking up after you. My gosh, stop leaving such a mess everywhere. So I'm not sick. I'm just frustrated. I don't want to keep picking up your socks. All right. And then going back, I have a really great example. Philosophers talk using pros and cons arguments. Okay, that's really good. I would say to make that sound even smoother, philosophers talk about the pros and cons of arguing. So that's a way that we can kind of elevate it. So philosophers talk about the pros and cons of arguing. So the pros and cons in that case. Oh, thank you for the example. Okay, so sick and tired. Remember, this is not literal. You're not actually sick. You're not actually tired. When we use these three words together, sick and tired, I can't even do this. It means frustrated. So tell me in the comment section, what's something you're sick and tired of? Are you sick and tired of waking up early every day? Are you sick and tired of your politicians? Are you sick and tired of working out and not seeing results? So we can use this for a lot of things. Okay, the next one. And again, we're going kind of quickly, but after we finish the six, so we're halfway through, I'm also going to share some sentences that my Instagram followers sent me. So we're going to see how non-native speakers try to use these expressions and how we can do it better. Okay, somebody just sent me a message. I'm sick and tired of, so instead of with, I'm sick and tired of phrasal verbs. No, hang in there. I promise. Once you have more fun learning phrasal verbs, you will love them. They help you tell more stories. I know it's really frustrating and you're probably sick and tired of feeling confused by them. But I promise, you know what? I'll make a live lesson about phrasal verbs later. I'll try to plan different things and I'll help you love them. Because once you love them, it'll change your life. Okay, that was so good. The next binomial is, oh, this one I like, short and sweet. Just like sick and tired, short and sweet is not literal. We're not talking about short as in height, and we're not talking about sweet like a candy. When we use these three words together, short and sweet, it has a totally different meaning. And it means something that doesn't last a long time and it's pleasant. There's a very positive connotation. It means that it's a positive feeling. If you say something is short and sweet, that's a good thing. If you wish it had lasted longer, then you wouldn't use this phrase. For example, the meeting today was short and sweet. I wish all of our meetings could be less than 30 minutes. So that means that you're glad. You didn't want the meeting to be 2 hours. You're super appreciative that the meeting was less than 30 minutes. So the meeting was short and sweet. That means it didn't last long, and that's a good thing. Okay? Again, try to make sentences with all of these. I want everyone listening and watching this to have 6 sentences by the end of the lesson. Okay, the next one is good because it means, well, you know what? Let me tell you first. Give or take. Give or take. So this one is really good because I find that a lot of my students tend to overuse the expression more or less. So if you find that you're saying more or less too much, this is a really great expression you can use in addition to that because it means about, more or less, kind of. So give or take. So it means about, more or less. So this is another great option for you. So if you use it more or less too much, try this one. Okay, the example. There will be about 100 guests at the party, give or take a few. Now, give or take is contextual. So that means that you understand what you're talking about by the context. So if I say there will be about 100 guests, give or take, even if I don't say a few, it's implied I'm talking about a few people. He's 6 feet tall, give or take. I could also say give or take an inch, but you don't really need it. So again, it's implied with the context. So if I say he's 6 feet tall, give or take, maybe he's 5'10", maybe he's 6'1". Okay, so try to use a sentence with give or take. I have a few more examples here to share with you. Thank you. Let's see, the last lesson was short but sweet. Oh, very important. Not only do binomials have to be in a specific order, it has to be the specific words, including the middle word, the conjunction or preposition. So you would have to say the last lesson was short and sweet. See, this is the amazing part of these live lessons. If you're watching these, you can immediately improve your English. So be brave, write sentences. You're going to make mistakes, but that's part of learning. And by the way, this is free, so take advantage of it. Okay, fabulous. So the last lesson was short and sweet. Okay, the next example, it'll be over at 8 o'clock, give or take a few minutes. Nice. Okay, excellent. Oh, really good learner. And the last one today, before we get to real user examples, is on and off. Now, this can mean, I would say if you're talking about like light, to turn the light on and off. We will also use it in that order, on and off. But the meaning I'm going to share with you today is about being inconsistent or not consistent. For example, let me get my example for you. They've been on and off for the last 5 years. I don't think they'll ever get married. So in this case, we're talking about a relationship. So if you're talking about a couple, let's say in this example, they've been on and off for the last 5 years. That means that they kept breaking up. Maybe they were together for a year, they broke up. They were together for a year and a half after they took a break. So that means they were not consistently together. You can also use this for work. For example, oh yeah, I work with that company on and off as a freelancer. I work with that company on and off as a freelancer. It means you're project-based and they hire you every now and then. So you don't work for them 24/7 or consistently. Excellent. Let's see here. Okay, we have some conversations going. So try to use a sentence with on and off. Now that we have the 6 binomials that native speakers, and by the way, there are hundreds, but today we're focusing on 6. And what I want you to do, if you're watching this or listening, enjoying it, I hope, of these 6, pick the one that works for you to use. So now you're familiar with them. So if you're talking to someone and they use it, you're like, okay, you'll understand their story better. But now pick one. I recommend if you're in business, pick pros and cons. You'll probably use that one a lot. Or if you have a lot of life decisions that you're making right now, pros and cons is really great. If you are someone who, let's say you're in a lot of meetings, or maybe you're a TV producer, or you like to watch a lot of shows, whatever, if you think short and sweet is good for you, then pick that one. So of these 6, be familiar with the 6 and pick one to really focus on using. Write lots of sentences. Okay, so I hear someone, now are you feeling frustrated or perhaps sick and tired because you feel that I'm speaking too fast, or because the context is difficult? And by the way, so somebody just mentioned that they didn't get a lot of what I said. What an amazing use of get. So in this sentence, get means to understand. Now, this person could have said, I didn't understand a lot of what you said. But by using get, the English sounds a little more natural. So great work. And hello, Mohammed. Okay, so now we're going to the user portion. So here I asked my amazing Instagram followers to send me examples to share with you. I'm going to read some of my favorites. Some were correct, some need a little bit of help, but we can all learn together. Okay, so let me check it out. So here we've got some great sentences. There are always some pros and cons of everything. Now, in this case, we wouldn't say of. There are always some pros and cons to everything. To everything. I'll repeat that one more time. There are always some pros and cons to everything. So the reason I'm reading these examples, because you're probably making the same mistakes. So you can learn from this. So these little changes of prepositions and phrases will help your English sound smoother. Okay, let's see. I'm I love this one. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired every day. So that means you're frustrated about being frustrated all the time. So that one's really good. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. In fact, if you look at the link that I have here of the notes, I actually use a GIF that says that I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Love it. Okay, I'm sick and tired of waking up late every morning. Perhaps invest in a new alarm? That was a great sentence. I'm sick and tired of waking up late every morning. So notice that we use I'm sick and tired of. Even though that's not part of the binomial, it's still a pattern. So you can learn how to use these with better context. Okay, now this one, when will stop your pros and cons over this topic? So I think this person is using pros and cons like complaining. So that would not fit here. So you could say, when will you stop your complaining about this topic? Or when will you stop talking about the pros and cons of this topic? I could see that if maybe someone's trying to make a big decision and they don't make the decision. They just keep talking about the pros and cons. Okay. All right, let's see what else we have. Actually, this is close to what I said. We talked about the pros and cons of moving to another country. Perfect. So we want the article, the pros and cons of moving. So of, and then the gerund form of moving to another country. Very good example. And by the way, if you want to send me examples for next week's live, just hop on Instagram and I ask for sentences every Friday. Okay, I'll take about 3 weeks. It'll take about 3 weeks, give or take a day or so. Okay, that's pretty good. I would even say you could simplify it and say it'll take about 3 weeks, give or take a day. But a day or so, yeah, this is good. Excellent. Okay, so it's saying not exactly 3 weeks. There are some pros and cons of being a teacher. Fabulous. So again, we have some pros and cons of being, so ing, the gerund form. And this is where I really recommend look up examples with binomials because you'll learn the structure the sentence has to have to fit the expression. Okay. And then I have someone who just showed up and asking what a binomial is. A binomial, as a refresher to those of you who were here first, they're 3 words, 2 words joined by a conjunction or preposition, and they have to be said in a specific order, like pros and cons. We can't say cons and pros. All right, let me see here. I think I had another mistake I wanted to show you. Oh, this one's great. So this person said, guys like short and sweet girls, but I'm not. In this case, she's not using the binomial. She's using the literal use of short and sweet. So guys like girls that are short, I don't know if that's true, and sweet, which means nice in this context. So this is not the binomial. So as you can tell, this is now, we're using the words for what they mean. But if you said the meeting was short and sweet, the movie was short and sweet, that would have been better. So the sentence is grammatically correct. However, it's not the binomial use. Oh, thank you for these sentences, by the way. What are pros and cons of using a credit card? Okay. What are pros and cons of using a credit card? And the last one, 3 missing children have been found safe and sound. So another binomial is safe and sound. It has nothing to do with sound. It has nothing to do with safe, like where you keep money. So when someone is safe and sound, it just means they're okay. So in this case, the only thing I would correct is to add the article. The 3, because we're talking about very specific children, The three missing children have been found, great sentence structure, have been found safe and sound. So, for example, if there's a storm and you're like, don't worry about the storm, we're safe and sound. You're saying that your environment is okay and everything's going to be okay. All right. And again, if you want to see all of these examples, check out the link in the video notes that has everything that I talked about. In fact, after this live lesson, I'm going to add some more things. I'm going to make this lesson a podcast episode. So if you think, okay, I want to listen to these more, go ahead and check out my podcast and you can just play it. Play it while you're cooking dinner. Play it while you're on the way to work. The more you listen to these, the easier it will be for you to recognize them. Okay, let me see. Let me just check the messages one more time before I go. And I'm going to continue doing weekly live lessons. There may be some date changes, so definitely check back on the channel. Click the subscribe and the notification bell so that you can see when they're on. And if you want personal emails sent to you with the notes for the live lessons before the lesson to remind you, sign up. You can go to EnglishChallenges.com and sign up where it says Become a Challenger, or I'll just put the direct link down here. All you have to do is send me your email, click a little box, and I'll send you an email before every live lesson with the notes so that you're extra prepared. And you'll also receive my challenges. So I know that a big part or a big challenge of learning a language is making time for it. You're like, I don't know what to study. I don't know what to look up and I don't feel like it. It's hard to manage. So what I'm doing is I'm actually creating 3 activities for you every week, including this live lesson, which you'll get notes to. There's also a skill every week. So maybe you'll learn like this week, my challengers, they already had the binomial activities. So any challengers watching this, they already know about them and they get to practice more. We do so many things. It's so fun. And also one of the challenges is to go on a private English Challengers Facebook page that I have, and you meet other people and you practice and you write sentences. So this means that 3 of the 7 days of the week, I already plan for you. So if you're learning English on your own or you're improving your English, sign up. Be part of the group. I am so excited to get to know you. And as some of you had asked before, what had you asked? Sorry, I'm trying to read the comments and think at the same time. Thank you for your patience. I do have an online course about English fluency planning. So if you're intermediate to advanced or fluent and you want help creating a plan that will help you continue to improve your English, get the course. I'll include the link below. It's over 2 hours of me helping you understand how to plan and give you some of my top resources and links and ideas on how to use them so that you're learning real life English, not just the textbook stuff, but how to speak naturally and confidently. Again, thank you so much. You can check out all the links in the notes, and I hope you have an amazing week. And I'm already excited for our next lesson. I'll see you then. Bye, everyone.